The psychological landscape of prehistoric humanity, thoughts, behaviors, logic, and ambitions. Introduction. The study of prehistoric human psychology demands a fusion of anthropology, archaeology, cognitive science, and evolutionary psychology. Unlike modern psychology, which relies heavily on direct observation, experimentation, and self-report, the study of prehistoric minds is necessarily inferential. The material record, stone tools, cave paintings, burial sites, migration patterns, acts as a proxy for the internal world of our ancestors. From these fragments, scholars reconstruct not only the mechanics of survival, but also the motivations, fears, and ambitions that shaped the human trajectory. This essay explores the psychological underpinnings of prehistoric humans across more than 4 million years of hominin evolution, focusing on their thoughts, behaviors, logic, and ambitions. Drawing on evidence from fossil records, ethnographic parallels, and evolutionary theory, we attempt to piece together a portrait of the prehistoric mind. The goal is to move beyond the caricature of cavemen and to present prehistoric humans as complex beings whose inner worlds laid the foundation for modern consciousness. The cognitive roots of prehistoric behavior. 1.1 From instinct to reflection. Early hominins such as Australopithecus exhibited behaviors largely dominated by immediate survival, seeking food, avoiding predators, reproducing. Yet even in these early stages, tool use and cooperative foraging suggest rudimentary planning and foresight. Over time, the enlargement of the neocortex in Homo habilis and Homo erectus enabled higher-order thought, memory consolidation, anticipation of future events, and symbolic reasoning. This cognitive shift marks the emergence of psychological life beyond instinct. The ability to plan a hunt days in advance, to imagine the unseen presence of prey, or to devise strategies for tool production reflects a logic that is recognizably human. Prehistoric psychology thus began in the tension between instinctual drives and reflective thought. 1.2 Memory and learning. The survival of prehistoric groups hinged on memory. The ability to recall the location of water sources, seasonal changes in vegetation, or the migratory paths of animals demanded both short-term and long-term memory systems. Cognitive psychology suggests that the hippocampus, crucial for spatial navigation, played a vital role in this mental map-making. Oral traditions, even before the advent of language as we know it, relied on gesture, mimicry, and repetition to transmit collective memory. 1.3 The rise of symbolic thought. Archaeological evidence from Blombos Cave in South Africa, where engraved ochre pieces date back roughly 75,000 years, indicates the early use of symbols. This leap toward abstract thinking signifies the emergence of a mind capable of detaching thought from immediate experience. Symbolism reflects not only communication, but also imagination, identity, and perhaps spirituality, all core elements of the prehistoric psyche. Behavioral psychology of prehistoric peoples. 2.1 Social cohesion and group dynamics. The prehistoric mind was inherently social. Evolutionary psychology posits that cooperation increased survival chances, leading to selection pressures favoring empathy, altruism, and reciprocity. Evidence of cooperative hunting, shared childcare, and food distribution highlights the centrality of group living. Social cohesion depended on psychological mechanisms such as trust, recognition of kinship, and punishment of defectors. The emotional lives of prehistoric people likely mirrored this social reality. Guilt, shame, pride, and love functioned as regulatory systems, ensuring the stability of group behavior. The ambition to belong and the fear of exclusion were powerful motivators in shaping conduct. 2.2 Aggression and conflict. Aggression also played a crucial role in prehistoric behavior. Skeletal evidence shows signs of interpersonal violence, while ethnographic studies of contemporary hunter-gatherers suggest that competition for mates, resources, and territory often led to conflict. Yet aggression was not merely destructive, it also had adaptive psychological roots, enabling individuals to protect resources and establish dominance hierarchies. Balancing cooperation with aggression required psychological complexity. Prehistoric logic had to calculate risk and reward, weighing the costs of fighting against the benefits of submission or alliance. This nuanced calculus reflects an early form of social intelligence. 2.3 Rituals and collective behavior. Burial practices dating back at least 100,000 years indicate ritualized behavior. The intentional placement of bodies with tools, ornaments, or ochre suggests a psychological awareness of death and perhaps an afterlife. Rituals provided shared meaning, reinforced group identity, and reduced existential anxiety. They also reveal ambition to transcend mortality, to connect with forces beyond immediate perception, and to impose order on an uncertain world. Logic and prehistoric reasoning. 3.1 Practical logic. The logic of prehistoric humans was grounded in survival. Tool-making required sequential reasoning, selecting appropriate stone, striking it at the correct angle, and predicting the resulting flake. This form of procedural logic demonstrates cognitive control, trial-and-error learning, and an understanding of cause and effect. Firemaking further exemplifies prehistoric logic. Mastery of fire demanded not only technical skill, but also foresight and patience. It embodies the psychological capacity to connect action with delayed reward, an essential feature of human reasoning. 3.2 Ecological logic. Prehistoric reasoning was also ecological. Hunter-gatherers needed to predict seasonal changes, track animal movements, and manage resource distribution. Such logic required a mental model of the environment, updated through collective experience and individual observation. This ecological intelligence intertwined with social logic, as the sharing of information became essential for group survival. 3.3 Abstract and narrative logic. The appearance of cave art, figurines, and myth-like symbols suggests an early form of narrative logic. Storytelling, even in its most primitive forms, allowed prehistoric humans to make sense of the world. Through narrative, they explained natural phenomena, enforced social norms, and projected ambitions beyond immediate survival. This abstract logic was the seed of religion, art, and philosophy. Ambitions of prehistoric humanity. 4.1 The ambition to survive. Survival was the primary ambition. Every thought and behavior was colored by the need to secure food, shelter, and protection. Yet even within this survivalist framework, ambitions extended beyond mere existence. 4.2 The ambition for mastery. Prehistoric humans sought mastery over their environment, the domestication of fire. The crafting of tools and the construction of shelters illustrate a psychological drive not only to adapt, but to control. This ambition reflects a shift from passive endurance to active agency, a defining feature of the human mind. 4.3 The ambition for connection. The psychological yearning for connection underpinned prehistoric social life. Beyond survival, people pursued intimacy, kinship, and belonging. The exchange of ornaments and the development of language-like communication suggest ambitions to express identity and to bond beyond functional necessity. 4.4 The ambition for transcendence. Perhaps the most striking ambition was transcendence. Ritual burials, symbolic art, and proto-religious behavior reflect a desire to surpass the limitations of mortality. This ambition gave rise to meaning-making practices that would evolve into religion, philosophy, and science. It illustrates the human refusal to be confined to biological necessity. Psychological mechanisms underlying prehistoric ambitions. 5.1 Curiosity and exploration. Curiosity propelled prehistoric humans out of Africa and across the globe. This psychological trait, deeply rooted in dopaminergic reward systems, rewarded novelty-seeking behavior. Exploration was both adaptive and ambitious, enabling humans to colonize diverse environments. 5.2 Fear and anxiety. Fear acted as a survival mechanism, sharpening awareness of predators and environmental threats. Yet anxiety also fueled ambitions to create safety nets. Fire, weapons, collective defense, and ritual practices. In this sense, fear was not only protective, but also generative. 5.3. Imagination and creativity. The imaginative mind allowed prehistoric humans to conceive possibilities beyond immediate reality. Creativity birthed art, music, and myth. These expressions were not luxuries, but psychological necessities, offering cohesion, catharsis, and meaning. 5.4. Hope and projection. Hope reflects the psychological ability to project into the future. Prehistoric humans hoped for successful hunts, fertile seasons, and safe migrations. Hope regulated motivation and sustained persistence in the face of uncertainty. It represents the psychological bridge between ambition and endurance. The inner world of prehistoric humans. Though unknowable in direct terms, the inner world of prehistoric humans can be glimpsed through their creations and choices. The cave paintings of Lascaux and Chauvet, for example, are more than representations of animals. They are windows into a symbolic universe, where the boundaries between real and imagined blur. The prehistoric mind was not silent or primitive, but alive with images, fears, longings, and ambitions. Psychologically, these humans grappled with existential questions remarkably similar to our own. Who am I? What happens after death? How can I secure my place in the group? How do I protect my kin? These questions structured their emotional lives, guided their behavior, and propelled their ambitions. Conclusion. The psychology of prehistoric humans was shaped by survival, but not limited to it. Their thoughts extended beyond instinct to reflection. Their behaviors balanced cooperation and aggression. Their logic ranged from practical to symbolic, and their ambitions stretched from survival to transcendence. By reconstructing this prehistoric psychology, we gain not only insights into the past, but also a deeper understanding of the psychological foundations of humanity itself.